Okay, so we're at 4:02, so I think we can get started. I know people will probably join as other things are ending off as well. So, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Sandy Gadiwal, and I am the chair of Sikh Heritage Month Ontario chapter. I want to thank everybody for joining us, not just today, but being with us this entire month of online and virtual events. We're really happy that we'll be able to connect the community and the Sanghat with programming, despite the very obvious obstacles that COVID-19 has brought forward. But we hope that everyone is safe and healthy and everyone's doing their part to curb the pandemic, no matter where you are in the world and where you guys are watching from. This is actually our last and our third segment in the SikhRI series on Guru Gobind Singh. So we're really excited to bring the trilogy to a finale today. And we're excited about the subject matter as well, because I think everybody will really enjoy the angle and the perspective on Guru Gobind Singh job through art and literature, because I think it might be something different than what we were used to hearing when hearing about our 10th Masters. So I'm really excited about that. I want to take a second to thank Sikh Research Institute, Inni Kaur, Inderpreet Singh, Harinder Singh, Jaspreet Kaur, who also moderated last week, for being amazing partners for Sikh Heritage Month. You guys are always connected with us, no matter if we're physically in person or we're online virtually, and we really benefit from all the knowledge you guys have and everything you give to the community. I really want to encourage everybody at sikhri.org is their website, Sikh Research Institute on Facebook, SikhRI on Instagram, and I'll throw it in the chat as well, but please follow them. They're doing incredible work. They just finished a whole series on Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib for the 400th anniversary. They're also doing a series, the Guru Granth Sahib Project, which is now focused on Slok Mahalla Nama. So lots of stuff going on. That's only a small part of what they're doing. So I really encourage you guys to go ahead and check them out as well. We do have 3 more sets of programming to finish off the month. So tomorrow we have 2 Zoom calls at 4 and 5. So we have Sandeep Singh doing a farmer's photo documentary. And at 5 o'clock, I'll be talking to Harpreet Kaur and Manmeet Singh, husband and wife duo, on their documentary called A Little Revolution, which is based on the farmer suicide. And we'll talk about a little bit about the farmers protest as well. And then on Wednesday, we have a finale, a special talk on Pritam Kaur Heer, who is called the Hornblower. So I think that will be really interesting for everybody as well. But before we start, just some housekeeping for those on the line. If you do have a question, so Inni Benji, who I'm going to hand it off to shortly, she'll be doing a presentation. And once the presentation is done, or once it's coming to its conclusion, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box only, not the chat box, only because it just gets a little bit hard to follow sometimes. So if you do have questions throw them into Q&A. If we do get to them, we will, if we have time, we'll definitely get to all of them. But we'll manage the questions at the end of the presentations just to allow for a better flow, but feel free to ask your questions during the presentations as well. Before I pass on to Inni Kaur, I just wanted to say that you are no stranger to us. That's for sure. I can very confidently say that. You've been with us before in person. We've been lucky to have you in person as well. But Inni Kaur is the creative director of Sikh Research Institute. She's an influential leader. She's a respected artist, a poet, a published author, and she's incredibly eloquent with her words, as you will now go to see during this presentation. She's done presentations at Yale, as well as Fairfield Universities and the US office of the Pentagon Chaplin. And she's dedicated to community and the service of others, and continues to be an integral member of several faith-based organizations. So I'm going to now pass it on to Inni Benji.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much. And Guru Fateh to all of you, to wherever you are. It's really a pleasure to be here and, to share the love of my Pacha with all of you. So I'm going to turn on the screen. Hopefully this will work. It's always a challenge whether this will work or not, because technology and I are not the best of friends. Sandy, tell me, is this good to go?
Yeah, we can see you, we're good.
Okay, perfect. So what is this presentation about? It is Guru Gobind Singh Sahib through art and literature. And I want to take a moment and to share with you that the life of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib cannot be grasped through a study of chronological historical events, popular philosophical insight, standards of art and aesthetics, or contemporary psychology, because to do that, if we do that, it would be a grave mistake. For the direction of the life of the Pacha is actually beyond intellectual and mystical expansion. So when Pacha says, "Main param purab ka dasa, dekhan aayo jagat tamasha," what is he actually saying? And these are his words. So as much as I'm going to try to take you through this journey, however, to see the vastness of the Guru, I'm hoping through this presentation, you will see the vastness and the magnificence of the Guru. That's all that I am hoping for. And for that, I am using the words of the two men who mean a lot to me, Professor Puran Singh and Bhai Bir Singh. Through their words, I want you to see the vastness, experience the vastness of the Guru. There are artists, paintings who I have used also to talk about the magnificence or certain events in the Guru's life. It would be wrong of me to say that I'm going to be able to cover the entire life of the Guru. So what does Professor Puran Singh write? I'm not going to read the whole thing. He says, because he is the one, at least, who has experienced something of the Guru. Because when he writes that this case is a gift, it is his. When I touch my case, it is as if I am touching his. When I look at my kara, I think of it as the kara on his wrist. So there's obviously a connection, a deep connection there. So what does he say about him? He says, they ask me to say something about Guru Gobind Singh. They ask me, what is he to me? I tremble when they ask me, what is he to me? Do not ask me to define him. Do not ask me to praise him. Do not even ask me to name him. Do not ask me to preach him. But what does he say? The one who has freed me, the self-poisoned one, the downtrodden slave, into the fragrance of himself. That the Guru has entered his life and has made him fragrant. And then he says, let the great ones name him. Let the scholars search him. Let the lovers call him. What is he to me? He's my sacred friend who comes to wipe off that silent tear and says to me, I am here by your side. The whole of me, I am just for you. And that's the relationship that we all yearn to have with the Guru. And through Professor Puran Singh's words, what he is saying to us, that he has experienced it. So these are not things that we can take just isolated. This is the experience when the Guru says, I am with you. I'm always with you. This is what Professor Puran Singh is saying, and I wanted you to say that, experience that. So when I begin to talk to you about the art, actually, I think I may have missed one slide. Let me just go back. No, okay, it's here. So these two incredible men who have entered my life, and I'm using their words to speak to you about. Do you know how small I feel talking about the 10th sovereign? I begin with Inni Kaur. It's because that is from where everything flows. One light flowing through the 10. Forms changing, light remaining the same. And this is how we experience the one. To truly appreciate the beauty of SikhRI, one needs to be a believer. But I think it's to truly appreciate the beauty of any faith, one needs to be a believer of that faith. But in SikhRI, to really experience the oneness, the Inni Kaur, the one light, that vastness, that freedom, you need to believe in the one, that there is something there, the one. So for this presentation, I am using images created by artists that depict certain events of the Guru's life. Some of these images have been taken from the Emperor Prophet exhibit, which we worked with the Punjab Digital Library for the anniversary for the Patna Museum in Bihar. And I'd like to keep something in mind, you all to keep something in mind, that there are no portraits of the Guru. And yet, from time immemorial, we humans need to connect, we need to visualize, we need to be able to tell the stories. You know, the ancient cave walls are a testament to that, that we humans have to paint, have to draw, have to tell that story. So I'm using these pieces of art, as you will see, and yet the words of Professor Puran Singh haunt me, because this is what he says. When I stand before the pictures you call those of the Gurus, I feel disgusted. For goodness sake, burn all your canvases and throw your brushes away. You have not yet risen to the level of men, and the craft of the artist is far above your reach. You have not been able to grasp the essentials of the appreciation of the art of the beautiful. You need to learn how to wear a pearl necklace and how to adorn yourself before you dare to approach the beautiful. For those who don't know Professor Puran Singh and want to know and don't know much about this art, he's written an incredible essay on the art, the appreciation of art. I think it's a mandatory essay for anyone who is going to pick up their brush. The way he describes what art is, particularly in the light of the Gurus. So here I am using these images before you, knowing fully well what the man in my consciousness has said about them. And the first one I want to go is, you know, the young Guru, which is Gobind Rai, what he was known as, is playing in Patna. And he comes to the river Ganga, and while playing, he loses this very expensive bracelet, which was given to him by a devotee. And his mother, you know, he comes back and his mother and mama and everyone says, like, you know, that was a very expensive piece of jewelry. What happened? And he said, well, I lost it, you know, it fell off in the river. And his mother and uncle and everyone says, okay, let's go there. And this is that scene which they're trying to depict. And the uncle asks him, the mama asks him, so where do you think it went? And the young Gobind Rai takes it off from his wrist and throws the other one. And he says, there, it went there. And he continues and he says, I don't want to go against my father's advice. And I don't want to be the slave of this colored clay, which he's calling gold. These are powerful words, what he is saying. And then I want to pause here, because when we in the community on our wrists don gold karas, what does that say to you? So I want to leave it there, because this is, you know, everything that we see, if it doesn't elevate our consciousness, then it's just a thing we have heard. But unless you don't bring it in within you and look around you, that these, yes, while these are narratives, while these, we could call them stories, we can call them fables, we can call them all sorts of things. But what is the message? The message is that the clay and gold is the same. So keep that. But I want you to take a look at I'm going to now talk about the art, the artist side. It is how the detail of what the artist is depicting, very much so of that time period, and the markings also. The artist is saying, you know, the Guru, the young Guru, Gobind Rai, is with this bow and arrow, and he has been depicted in a lot of the stories and a lot of the Sakhis as that. And we have that scene on the Ganga scene, we have the Brahmins, we have the mother. So it's a really important scene. But if we didn't have that bracelet being thrown on the side, we would not be able to connect it to the Saki. So this is how the art and the Saki play together. So think about that. What if that bracelet wasn't there? What would you think of this? This painting would not make sense. And then we go to the next scene, and I want to move forward. And here is in the Darbar. This is the Darbar of the ninth Pacha. And here are the Kashmiri Pandits who have come to the Darbar. And the young Guru says, you know, the Kashmiri Pandits have come because they are asking protection of the ninth sovereign from Aurangzeb. And the and the ninth Pacha says, a great sacrifice is needed. And Gobind Rai says, who better than you? And this young child, I say child, because if we look at it towards our children, obviously there is great depth, there is something much more magnificent. But the relationship between the father and the son, that the father values and listens to his son saying, who better than you, Dad? If I put it in today's, these words that flowed from the lips of young Gobind Rai have changed the course of history. I mean, if there was any question about wisdom and faith, there's never been more apparent in this scene. And the relationship, you know, you often wonder the relationship. I mean, he's only 9 years old, 8 years old. The depth of that relationship between the father and the son. I want to digress here a little bit. It would be particularly because this is the year of the anniversary of the ninth Pacha with the 400th Prakash Parab, and with the narrative that is coming out of the Indian state as well, that I want to address this. The Guru is being called as Hind each other, and or that he was just there to protect the faith, to protect the Hindus. This is not that. The Guru has been known through history as Srisht each other. Now, Srisht is the universe. And when we say he protected just Hind, we have made the Guru a lot smaller, when Guru is vast. And when we say that it was only for the Hindus, it is absolutely incorrect. Because one of the fundamental principles of the faith of Sikhi is Sab mein jyot, jyot hai soe. So the light is the same in all, and that light is the one light. So I would say that when you come across that, when people are saying, or when you hear Hind each other, think about what Hind each other means and what Srisht each other means. Each other is a protection. He's the protector of the universe, or he's the protector of Hind. And, you know, yes, while I understand the idea of nation states is a new phenomena, but even then, these nation state and universe are two very, very different things. And the Guru is vast. We are not that vast. We cannot even imagine, even in today's day and age, that someone would give up their faith. Because remember, Guru Nanak Sahib refused to wear the Janehu, right? And here is Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib defending the right for the people to wear their Janehu. So when you put it in that light, you can see, hopefully, the vastness and the magnificence of the Guru, but also the teachings, how they are so fundamental. And these Sakhis and these narratives build on that. We come to the plan. I know I didn't want to go into too much of a detail, but we know the Guru was taken, the Guru went to Agra. We know he was imprisoned. We know what happened in Chandni Chowk that day. And we also know how the elements reacted to that. And because when an event of such magnitude as, forgive me, as the beheading of the ninth sovereign took place, it was the elements revolted. There was a dust storm that swept through, and under its cover, Lakhi Shah lifted the body of the ninth Pacha, and Pai Jetha carried the Guru's precious head to Anandpur Sahib and offered it to the young Guru, the head of his father Guru. Now, the head always belongs to the sovereign. It is not, the state cannot take it, because the head is your thought. And when we submit, when we put our head towards the Guru, when we matate, is we are giving our allegiance, our smallness to that. So the head is very important in SikhRI, that the head cannot be just left there. So I want to talk to you about who was this Pai Jetha. Now, his association with the Guru family was very close, and we know this happened, but for me, it was important to know that one man out of all this did this, but no, he was known to the Guru family. He's the one who took letters back and forth between the Guru and his young son. And Pai Jetha, I think about 4 years back, I came across, I was introduced actually to a book written by him. And Pai Jetha has written a book, and it is by Gobind Singh Jetha, SikhRI Gur Katha, if anyone wants to know it. And I'm going to read excerpts from one excerpt, short one, because that'll put a lot of things in context. Because sometimes we don't know and we imagine, and this is an account written by the man himself. And he writes in SikhRI Gur Katha, Pai Jetha writes, the young Guru asked him, where were the Sikhs? And these are his words. Why did the Sikhs of Delhi break their allegiance to the Guru? Considering this, the Guru now made up his mind. I will make the Sikh handle all weapons in a perfect, disciplined, and powerful form. Knowledge and conscientiousness looks will be recognized as prestigious among millions. I will bless a unique look. My Sikh will be a great friend of the poor, and I will teach them how to punish the vicious. So those are his words. Whether they took place, whether that dialogue took place or not, I leave that up to you to, come to your conclusion. But when I look at this image, I cannot help but be moved by this. There's so much there, and so much more that is not there. I feel the artist's struggle as what to depict. The young Guru, the hand now on the Guru, the father, there's this lot of reverence in there. But yet there is something there which I do want to point out to is, we are still so influenced by Christian art. And if you didn't know the story, this could be a biblical story, because the imagery is the same from the Judeo-Christian period. So Sikh art at this point in time is still being developed. Unlike Christian art, where you can take a look at it and you can say, yes, these are the markings of Christian art. These are the markings of the Pahari art. This is from the West Bengal school. The Sikh art is still in that stage where there isn't that symbolism, which is not perfectly defined as yet. And we are struggling to really, because we have not cultivated. Art always requires patronage, and we haven't had state patronage. The only time when there was stability was during the time of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And at that time, even then, he did not encourage Sikh art. He encouraged art. And he had artists from Europe painting. He had artists from different regions within India, but Sikh art, he did not spend time on that. I'm digressing because I want you to also fall in love with and understand Sikh art as well, and look at these paintings in different lights. One, sometimes we get upset about them because the way they are marked, especially images of the gurus with the tilak or with different things. But keep in mind, the artists are trying to struggle and show their reverence. And many of them have never seen the guru, because a lot of the art that was commissioned was much after the guru period. And these artists, the ones particularly from the Pahari school and the West Bengal school, did not have the understanding of Sikhi. They portrayed as best as they could per the Sakhis. So I want to move forward now. It is the young guru. And what is happening during that time while he is strengthening the Sikhs? And I want to pause here. I mean, this is not a portrait, this is not this, but this is really, I wanted you to understand, or not understand, it's not the right word. I wanted you to think how the Guru was naming the forts that were being constructed during his time. I mean, Anandgarh, right, is bliss. So this is the fort of bliss. Then we have Kesgarh, the fort of hair. Logar, the fort of steel. Holgar, the fort of color. Fatehgarh, the fort of victory. Tarargarh, the fort of star. This gives us an inkling into how the Guru was thinking. We can never say how the Guru was thinking, but appreciation when these forts were named, it gives us a glimpse to the Guru's vision. Unfortunately, all these forts have been demolished. A rich part of our history has been taken away. And that's why it is vital whenever we can to bring this image. This fort is also gone. I think it was demolished in 1962. But at least we can appreciate the names. Otherwise, these names would also be lost from our consciousness, from our part of history. And that's why I brought them to you to share. So we all know, I don't know if you all know, this Guru was a great poet. His court had 52 poets. Think about that. I mean, this is the sovereign. So in the court of the sovereign, there were 52 poets composing verses in Farsi, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Braj, and Arabic. And these were exquisite ghazals, kabits, bars, sabayas, which were being composed and were flowing in this court. And the scene as he is where is this? Jamuna. He's on the banks of the river Jamuna. And this is where he's holding the court. I also wanted to share with you that Guru sent people from this court to Benares to study the sacred Vedic texts and to translate them and bring them back. So there was the visionary part of the Guru, the literature part of the Guru. I wanted you to experience that. So, and if you look and if you listen, actually it's really listening. When you listen to Guru Gobind Singh Sahib's Sabayas, the rhythm and the rhyme and the japsa, one would say he is the poet of the poets, because through the japsa, it is that rhythm and it builds up and you are, by the end of it, you're energized. And this is that height of that poetic consciousness, which we all, appreciate. So in the scene, I've tried to, show you what a Kavi Darbar was looking like on the banks of the Jamuna in Paonta Sahib. And when I look at this, there is, of course, a poem of Paisa Bhai Veer Singh Ji that comes to mind. And I want to share that with you. I think I have written it. Yes, he writes, he camped on my shore. And this is through the voice of the river, the voice of the Jamuna River. It's a beautiful long poem. And but this is the part which I have translated, which is on the SikhRI website as well. And I wanted, the last part of it is, he camped on my shores, that Veena player, the fountain of life, Laughing and sporting, he swam in me. I leapt, I laughed, I forgot myself. Was it an illusion? Did he bathe in me, or did I bathe in him? And that's the vastness where the river, where Paibir Singh is saying, the river is saying that who bathed in who, that the river is saying that. I mean, it's a beautiful poem where she goes searching, looking for him. And at the end, she says, there is no one but him. And if this was the pain that he has left me with, that I will always long for him and I will wait for him, for I no longer want the yogis. I no longer want the ascetics. I only want him. And this is that love, the beauty of using the nature, the place of Jamuna, the place where he had his Kavi Darbars, to have that river who has listened to his words, who has experienced his presence, he bathes in there, to use that voice to convey the magnificence of the Guru. The next I want to come to you is the poet, Bhai Nandlal Goya. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't introduce him to you, because this poet by Nandlal Goya was in the court of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. He was one of the 52 poets, and his writings give us a glimpse into the Guru. And his and again, I'm sorry, it's not a plug-in, but it really is. You know, we at SikhRI are for the last year and a half, we have spent hours translating from his collection Diwane Goya, which is in praise of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. And I want to share with you just a little bit of his opening poem, ghazal actually, couplet of the 10th master, what he says to me, what he says. He says, I was brought into existence by the embrace of the winds of reverence bondage. I would not have desired to come into the world otherwise. Now reverence bondage is bandagi. And he says, joyous is the life spent in your remembrance. If not, what else do I gain from this blue world? What else do I gain from this being under this blue sky? I die when I do not remember you. Besides your remembrance, there's nothing much to gain. I cannot live without remembering you. May I be freed quickly to meet the beloved. And if you know the life of Pai Nandla, he was working in the darbar of the Mughals. And when he came to the darbar of the Pacha, he says, like a bee, I just was absorbed and I never left. And his writings give us such a treasure about his love for the Guru. And he composed in eloquent Farsi. And this was what he wanted to show the world. And so he's speaking to a very elite audience, and he wanted to show the world, that's my interpretation, that this sovereign is in the same as in the 12th, like in the way Rumi has portrayed, the way Hafiz has talked about the beloved. This is the same pattern that Goya talks about the 10th sovereign. So this is a great, if you care to delve into these ghazals, please go and listen to or read them on the SikhRI website. You will be amazed at the beauty and the richness of it, but also it gives us a glimpse of the fluidity of the darbar and gives us the openness and how languages were being used and, the connection that was happening. There was never a thought that, no, it cannot be composed because this is not in Gurmukhi or in Punjabi. Like we've become small and we say, oh, it has to be in this particular way. And yet, and I mean, I get told all the time that you're not speaking in Punjabi, you must speak in that. And when I look at something like this, where it is composed in praise of the 10th master, in a language which we had no clue about or we've lost, then that's the vastness. We need to become that vast, to be that accepting, to say if someone is speaking about their love or about the faith in any language, should we, or what gives us the right to put them down? After all, it's their love, and maybe we'll learn something, or maybe we'll appreciate something. So I put this image for a reason, and I apologize for this. It's nowhere close to what I would like, but I did want to talk to you about these two people because they are the scholars. So who were the scholars in Guru Gobind Singh Sahib's court? And let's talk a little bit about the literary front. We know, as I said before, that new literature was being produced here, alongside the translations of the ancient texts, first at Anandpur Sahib and then at Guru Ki Kashi. So this was what was happening at that time. Here, the artist is depicted by Mani Singh and Baba Deep Singh. So who was Bhai Mani Singh? He was a great scholar, he was a devoted Sikh, and a really courageous leader. And he transcribed the Guru Granth Sahib for numerous Sikh centers as we know it today, the Guru Granth Sahib as we know it today. He taught Gurbani, wrote tikas, explanations, and that. He was also appointed as the Granthi in Harmandir Sahib, Sri Harmandir Sahib by Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. And it was during this period of his life, he was arrested for refusing to pay the tax to the Mughals because at this point there was this taxation going on. He was asked by the Qazi to embrace Islam or face death. He chose death. So therefore, on the orders of Zakaria Khan, he was executed. Now, Baba Deep Singh, from about 12 years of age, Baba Deep Singh grew up around the Guru. He stayed at Anandpur Sahib. He spent 8 years learning Gurmukhi from Bhai Mani Singh. And this is where the transfer of knowledge was also happening. He also received training in arms and horsemanship, archery, and other things. He also mastered several other languages. At Damdama Sahib, Bhai Mani Singh and Baba Deep Singh were entrusted with preparing the final text of Sri Guru Granth Sahib as we know it today. There we are told, tradition tells us, that Guru Gobind Singh Sahib recited the entire Guru Granth Sahib, included the verses, the sloks of his father, the Bani of his father, and this is what we have today. In 1706, Pacha placed Baba Deep Singh in charge of the Damdama Sahib, and that's where he spent years, and he was the first head of the Damdami Taksal. Now that you have a little bit of an understanding about the background of these scholars, you will now appreciate how Baba Deep Singh, at the age of 75, picked up the kirpan to get the Mughal forces out of Harmandir Sahib. He drew a line in the sand with his khanda and asked those who were willing to die to join him. His last breath was in the parkarma of Harmandir Sahib, defending it. So these are the type of warriors, the scholars that Guru trained. So the scholars that the Guru trained were immersed in the principles of the faith. There's one part is theology, the other part is very much the practice, the saint and the soldier, the Sant Sipai, and this is visible during the Guru's life. This is what the training was for and is. So when we today say, well, we are just being spiritual, we don't want to be political, or when we say, no, we will not pick up arms, this is a testament to that. And hence, I wanted to bring this into this presentation to talk about that. So the music. So while working on the Emperor Prophet exhibit, I discovered, and you're always discovering and learning as you delve deeper and deeper. There's no such thing as you know everything. I learned that the Pacha not only played taus and varied and other musical instruments, but he also created a unique composition in rags and beyond. He introduced the khyal form of singing, and that thereby enlarging the South Asian musical tradition, the Indic music tradition, by adding Sikh elements to it. So we have the poet, we have the warrior, and now we have the master of the masters. So this is what Guru does. Everything and anything Guru touches enlarges it, makes it vast. The grandeur, the majesty. And then I always think, and what if Guru touched me? When will Guru touch me? For my grandeur, for my beauty. Maybe that will come out. And it's these type of elements that you begin to think about things like that. I want to come to the next one. So who were the warriors? Who were Guru's warriors? And we make a mistake when we say the Guru's warriors were all Sikhs. Not true. Absolutely not true. Guru's warriors were Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs. Among them were Pir Buddha Shah, who, along with his 4 sons, and 2 brothers and 700 men, fought on behalf of the Guru. So let's pause here and think about that relationship. It was they and Pir Buddha Shah. And it's not a question of embracing Sikhi, it's standing for the principles. And that's what Guru does. Guru inspires the warriors to defend their right to live as sovereign people. And in Sikh, it's all about that, about being sovereign. So the Guru, they never fought for any personal kingship. They never fought for land, to be rulers of the land or to attain wealth, but they battled against injustice. And this is something which we as a community need to really embrace. When do we stand up? Is it for our own petty causes, just because it's happening to us Sikhs? Or do we, for the grander? It is actually injustice that we need to stand up for. So we come next to this scene, which is the color. This is the Holy Hola Mahalla image. There's pure excitement in this painting. We have the 4th there, we have the 10th there, we have the Guru there, we have the women sitting under the tent. There are very few images of when there are women in the painting. So therefore, whenever there is one with the painting, I like to portray that. And this is far stretched, that there's an image of a woman standing in a warrior pose next to a Sikh in the white on the corner. And it's my imagination. I wonder if that the artist was thinking that was my pago, because she's away from the other women. She's standing by herself. She has a weapon. And I'm saying, is this the way the artist has chosen to pay tribute to my pago, the woman who was Guru's bodyguard? So what happens? Why did I bring this painting to your attention? Because this was a time of Holi. So throughout Sikh history, throughout the Guru period, what the Gurus have done, and this is my thinking, that whatever were the prevailing customs, traditions, festivals were already part of the consciousness of people, where people were already celebrating that. The Guru adds a Sikh flavor to it and makes it rise bigger, that the color, the holy color, which you are playing in, is actually a temporary color. Wo kacha rang hai. So to be dyed in this, be dyed in that pakka color, in that permanent color of the one. And so around Holi, the warriors and the poets got together, they trained, they shared their love, they were immersed in that rang in Bani is color, is love actually. And that's what the scene was depicting. And that's what I wanted to also portray, that Holi for us is really Hola Mahalla. And this is where the warriors and the poets get together, and there's great joy, and it is immersed. It is the basis of it is one, to be dyed in the color of the one, the permanent color of the eternal that never leaves you. When that enters into your life is colored. So that was that. Here, I wanted to give you just a quick depiction of Guru as a sovereign in the court, and everything was happening in the court. Just a portrayal of that. This is the Shensa, the Shensha. You know, how do we depict that? So when we do say the Guru is sovereign and he had a court, this attests to that part of the story, of that narrative. And then the call came, and Guru sends out a call. So it's important to know what actually happened during that time. So there was a period of the Masans, as you know, Guru Amar Das Sahib had divided the Sikh community into the 22 districts called Manjis. And these Manjis then became the Masans during the Guru Arjan Sahib's period. But by that time, entered the ninth Pasha, and you could see that there was a breakthrough with the Masans. A lot of them had become agents of the state. It's no different to then what is happening now, when some of the Sikh political parties and so-called Sikh interests are agents of the state. So on March 15, 1699, Pacha Guru Gobind Singh Sahib issues a hukumnama denouncing and dismantling the Masan system. It's important we understand this. So now there's nothing, right? Because they had become corrupt and they no longer owed their allegiance. And now Guru sends out a call. And this is that pivotal moment in our history when the call is made and everybody's on the move. All roads are leading to Anandpur Sahib. Something momentous is in the air that people can feel it. The tent is ready. Pacha asks for a head. And the call is answered. And through the Amrit, the Panch Pyare, which are the lovers. Pyare are the lovers. Compassionate, Daya. Faithful, Dharam. Courageous, Himmat. Loyal, Mokham. Sovereign, Himmat. Sahib. And that's what it is. The names that he chose, the Guru chose for them. Think about what was the names for the fort. And this is the proclamation of the first Pacha, Guru Nanak Sahib. Those who want to play the game of love must walk on the path with their heads on their palms. During Guru Nanak Sahib's time, when a head was asked, it was only one that gave their head, and that was by Lena. Through the Guru period, through the history, when the Dasme Pacha asked for a head, there were 5. And we are in great debt to them, for that changed the history of the Sikhs. And we can argue, or we can contemplate, or we can visualize as to what happened in the tent. But what happens between a Guru and a Sikh is actually a very sacred moment. Like the lives of the Panch Pyare were changed. When Guru enters your life, you change. That cannot be explained. You cannot define that moment. But it is a profound moment when something touches you, which is beyond extraordinary, beyond what you can even imagine. How in that one moment, a strength enters, something enters you that you know you are no longer the same. You can't write about it, because even if you write about it, it's not enough. The words are just not there to explain. And this is in Bani, this unutterable narrative. It is an experience. An experience that will change your entire life, of how you look at life from there on, and what you then seek to do for the rest of your life. Because for what you have been graced with, is so vast and incredible and sweet that you want that moment to continue throughout your entire life. And this is the vastness of the Guru, where from the hands of the five, he takes the Amrit. And I think about this moment. Would I have that capacity or that vision? Here is the Guru, given that sovereignty, that power to the five. And those five are us, the Panth. Do we even know what has been given to us? Do we revere it? Do we understand this gift in that magnitude? And then the title, Sing and Kaur. Do we adorn it the way it was given to us and what it means? When you break away from everything and say you belong just to him, just to the Panth. In spite of everything and everyone telling you otherwise, you say, I am yours and only yours. And I will bear anything and everything for you. So I come to the last one, and I wanted to end with the Emperor, and I just shamelessly, steal the words of Bhai Nand Lal Goya, for he was with the Guru, and saw Guru in all Guru's majesty. And this is what he writes about the Guru. Guru Gobind Singh Sahib is the emperor of emperors. The Guru's grandness transcends the Roman emperors, the Chinese and the Turkish emperors, the Iranian kings, the Chinese kings, and the Tsars, and the Raos, which are the South Asian Rajput rulers. And when I came across this passage, and I said, Bhai Nand Lal Goya knew about the Roman emperors. He knew about the Chinese and the Turkish ones. And he says, the Guru is beyond that, the emperor of emperors, not kings, emperors. And I want to end with, of course, the poem of the man I revere and call Pitaji, Paisa Bhai Veer Singh Ji. And this is when he writes, when the Guru is leaving Punjab and going to the south, after what has happened with the Sahibzades and everything. And it is then he meets Banda Singh Bahadur. But this is the poem. And Punjab Kaur is Punjab Kaur, the land. And he has titled, to call the land Kaur, the entire state, the entire region, Punjab Kaur. Think about that Kaur and that word Punjab and Kaur titled together to really understand that Pitaji understood what Kaur, that vastness that is in Kaur. O Kalgia Wale, this is Punjab Kaur, the land, speaking. With folded hands I plead, come back to my fields. Turn your horse around, please come back. And this is the voice of the Pacha. Kalgiawala speaks. Listen, my beautiful, pleasing land. I came to end the poison. I gave Amrit to your lals, to your children, and woke them up. They beautified and glorified you. Listen, O fortunate mother. Fold your hands before the beloved. Remain in Naam. Turn your back on Maya. You will flourish. This is our message today, which Pacha is giving us. Fold your hands before the one, the Ekunkar. Remain in Naam, in your Naam consciousness. Turn your back towards Maya, and this is how you will flourish. There is nothing more that I can say to you about my love for the 10th sovereign. I hope you got a glimpse of that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Sandy, do you see me? Am I back?
Yeah, I see you. Thank you so much, Benji. As always, it was so gracefully put, so eloquent, and your love for the subject matter at hand and everything that you've presented to us, it really comes through. Even though we're not together physically, it really comes through even through video. You can tell that it's literally coming from your heart. So I appreciate that very much. Yes, wonderful presentation, Rupinder Kaur says. I completely agree. I think no matter when you join any of these sessions, no matter what level of knowledge you're at, you always come out of it learning something new, which is really beautiful, really wonderful, because to take away from something and be inspired, it's not an easy thing to come through. Yes, Kamo Johal, beautiful. I completely agree. So I want to thank you for your time. We do have a question that I actually did want to get to you, if you are okay with that.
Sure.
So Rapinder asks, so my understanding was that gurus did not want their portraits to be painted. Is this why we don't have guru period art? Did any of the gurus commission art? We know that they were scholars and Guru Gobind Singh had 52 poets. Did they have any visual artists?
As far as we know, no.
Okay.
And I want to, and this is my understanding as I have studied this, I'm just sharing that with you. It is keeping in mind during the Guru period, right? And also keeping in mind what was happening in the Indic culture in that period, where the statues and the deities had become larger than life. That the message was lost and you became worshipping the person. And in Sikhi, the Guru said, do not worship me. I'm just a messenger. So the idea always, not the idea, the principle is always not about the Guru. The Guru is a Shabad, right? So the Guru has always, the Guru in physical form, Guru Sahibs have always connected us towards the Shabad. That is where the focus is. And I would love to see the art now that is coming, some of it is coming out, is to how to take pieces of the Shabbat, one line or one thing, and incorporate that in art. That is the art.
Great idea. It's a great suggestion. I agree. We just had one more comment saying, thank you for using so many diverse visual depictions. Very beautiful. I agree with that. I think everybody online will agree with that well, just to see it visually in that sense. And then some of the pieces were just so vibrant and so telling of the stories that you were linking with them with. And again, just learning from that, from a visual perspective, sometimes it's really nice to see, because it's such a different way of presenting a certain subject matter. So yeah, if anybody else, there's no other questions. Parvinder Sablok did ask about a recording. So if anybody does want a recording after the fact, please email us at info@sikhheritagemonth.ca. We'll be able to send you the link while it's still available, because it does, I think it does expire after a while, but we'll have it available sometime today once this is done. So again, info@sikhheritagemonth.ca. You can send them to me. Benji, is there anything else you wanted to maybe share for SikhRI in terms of something upcoming that you wanted to let the folks know about? Any projects or anything they can happening now that they can follow?
I think, being the 400th Prakash Purab of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, there's a lot of content and pieces that we are sharing on the Guru. And these are not necessarily heavy pieces, in the sense you don't need to invest a lot of time. But if they can follow that by the end, and we'll be sharing that continuously throughout the year, they will have a much deeper understanding of the Nova Mahalla, and they will have a much richer understanding of the Guru's life. It's sometimes hard to invest so much of time, and then there's also absorption. You cannot absorb. We're very cognizant of that. So these are bite-sized pieces that throughout the year they can consume that. They'll have a richer understanding. And I would, I'm partial to this. The ghazals, which we share once a month. I would say, each ghazal, there's been about 4 people working on it, 4 translators working on it. And it's about 12 hours worth of work on each ghazal. So you can imagine the depth of understanding and the effort and the love that has gone into translating these and bringing them. And yet we say, this is just our understanding because we don't know. But at least, we're going back to that period. We have a Persian scholar who studies ancient Persian poetry in that genre and is bringing that.
And can you actually give us the date of what the actual Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's Gurpurb is, for those who might not know?
It's really interesting, and this is where we are at the mercy of the state, because it was supposed to be on April 19th that they were going to celebrate it, and now because of the COVID restrictions and everything in India, then they moved it to May. For the celebration, we don't still know, but we at SikhRI, we had our conference in March, and then this week, I think we're at the end. So this last week, we have shared a lot of material. We've done the celebration per the 19th of April. It's all the content is on our website. It's on our social media on that, and we'll be sharing it again throughout the year.
I actually was just going to say that I revisited your website to actually go through the specific seminar, the 11 to 3 that you had on Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, and I highly recommend everyone does as well. It was, I got to join it live, but I want to go back to some of the speakers that I had missed that day. So a great resource. Again, SikhRI.org, Sikh Research Institute on Facebook, and also SikhRI on Instagram and on Twitter as well. So they're very active on social media. So Benji, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I love talking to you all the time. So I hope that next year can be in person as opposed to online, but again, at least we were able to connect virtually, and everyone's doing the best they can. Thank you everybody that joined today. We appreciate your time as well, and we'll see you for the next set of events tomorrow. So, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.